and welcome to ACWS's Outcome Tracker Training videos. This video, I'm going to walk you through some tips and tricks when it comes to editing activities. If you have an activity that you want to edit, delete a question or change a drop-down, things like that, you can do that by going to Activities, selecting the activity that you want to change. In this case, let's change. Most likely the thing that you will want to do is add a question, delete a question. In that case, you'll go to questions. Adding a question to your form is pretty easy. You can go here and find the question that you want to add and click add. And then it'll be added to your question list here. Or if there's a question that's not actually on here yet, you can add a new question. There are videos that will show you exactly how to do that, so I'll refer you to those. But one thing to keep in mind is that once you add a question to your activity, if your activity is on a form, which is on a tab, you then have to add it to the form. And you can do that by going here, and if you go to questions, on this left side, if you go to the end of this list, you'll see these are the questions that are specifically on this questions tab here that are not yet on the form. You have to add the questions to the form in order for them to show up on the tab. Now once you add the questions to the form, they will show up on the tab. You don't then have to add it to the tab. You just have to add it to the form. So you're basically adding the question twice. Once on here, and then once on the form. It may be that you want to delete a question. Adding things is usually quite easy and done with relative lack of complication. Deleting things and modifying existing fields is a little bit different. If you have data, for instance, we have 3 enrollments right now. If you have data in your activity and you try to delete a question, you will delete all of the responses to that question. So for instance, if I were to delete the client felt safe, I would also be deleting all the responses to that question. So that is something to keep in mind, that if you delete a question, you're also deleting the responses, which means that you will lose data. And maybe that is what you want to do. Maybe that is something that you're okay with. Another option would be to simply remove it from the form. That way you won't lose the data, but it also will cease being answered on the form. Another thing to keep in mind when you're deleting things is that if you delete a question or field that is in an existing query or report, that will pull a can't find column error in the query, which could show through to the report. So just keep in mind that if you are deleting something from an activity, it could affect your reporting as well. So those are some tips about editing your activity. Just keep in mind that adding questions is fairly easy, and like I said, usually done without complication. The only thing is that you have to add it to here and then to the form in order for it to actually show up. And then deleting questions should be done with caution. Thank you for using ACWS's Outcome Tracker Training.